Uh, the Cincy coach said he thinks this is going to be World War III, and I heard somebody, I think John Rothstein, said it's going to be Armageddon. It's going to be that big, right? Pretty big game.
Strong words. I think it will be a heck of a basketball game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it that way. I think it's going to be really exciting. I know our fans are very excited about it because I've heard from a whole bunch of them. So I know for a fact. I'm sure our guys are. It's obviously a big game nationally, so it'll be a great college game.
This is kind of, I mean, it's a little early in the league to have real rivalries, but this is sort of, you guys have kind of been eyeing each other for a couple of years, and games have been.
Yeah, for sure. Because, it is a new league formed and all that, and the rivalries, I would say Connecticut as well sort of just became one. I'm not exactly sure why, and Cincinnati for sure. Maybe because they've been so good, both those programs. But this year, the way it's shaped up, they're putting a lot of pressure on us. Hopefully we're putting a lot of pressure on them by being right on their tail, and obviously this will have a big impact on the conference race. But it comes at a good time. It's time to play each other again, I think, and should be an exciting day.
And they've been known in the past being really defensive oriented, not a high scoring team, but their offense, they're a much better offensive team than maybe Nick's ever had.
By far, they're a great team. I mean, they're a great team on the national picture of things. They get a good draw if they have some good nights, because they're still great defensively. They're still the same team that he always coaches. He always gets them to play great defense and play with toughness and rebound, all those things. But he's just more skilled this year than he's been in a long time, and that's the bad news for us. I would certainly much rather be playing any of the other teams that were just as tough but scored 18 points less per game, and that's what makes them so good. That's why they've lost twice all year, because they back up with their defense with their offense.
I want to talk to you about Semi a little bit. I mean, obviously he had a great game last night, but just what makes him such a good player to be able to play like he's played for you guys? I mean,
Well, first thing, any really good player needs a high level of self-belief, and you can have talent, but you've got to have a lot of confidence, and he certainly believes in himself, and I think it starts there. But then from there, he's obviously a tremendous athlete, but there's a lot of great athletes around the country, but he's also a very, very skilled player with his size. He's unusually skilled for someone with his size and athletic ability. And then you add on to that, he's a really, really bright kid, and you got a great player. That's the package.
From the opposite side, if you had to coach against him, I mean, is he just one of those mismatch?
He is bad. It's a bad matchup, for most people. And Cincinnati's got some bad matchups, I'll tell you. But certainly Shimmy is, because of the versatility, because of his body, because he can play a long way from the basket effectively and not very far from the basket and anywhere in between. And so that's what makes that's what makes it really tough. To be a scorer, there's a difference between being a guy that can shoot and to be a scorer. A scorer has a lot of ways that they can find the ball into the basket, and a shooter, of course, it's kind of opportunistic from game to game to whether or not he gets his looks and gets his touches and those kind of things.
Last thing on him, last year when he had to sit out, was he did he work a lot in practice? I mean, was last year valuable to him to just improve certain things, or was he just playing last year?
Well, the thing about him is he's in the gym whether we have practice or not, doesn't matter. He's in the gym more hours outside of practice than in practice. That's the way he's wired. I wish every single person in America that played basketball was wired that way. I relate to that.
Yeah.
I just understand that, to have that drive, and not to understand why you let 24, 48 hours go by and not have all those hours and you're not in the gym a good number of those. Well, he doesn't, So if you want to find him, he's over here in the gym. You could always find him there.
You guys, parts of yesterday's game, pressed him a little bit and were able to trap him, get some turnovers. Was that something you identified as we can get tempo with, or something you just like to play out?
We've been doing it all year, a little bit more maybe lately, but no, it's kind of hard to. You can't tell going into a game that how sure you are another team's going to turn the ball over. But we like to give it a shot and, see how people handle it. And it's really been effective for us the last couple games. And it's been other games where we've sprinkled it in. It's really helped us. Sometimes it's not as effective, so we don't go to it as much. But kind of like anything else, once the game starts, it's a feel thing. And things that are working, you do more, and things that aren't working, you just try to forget about them. So it's been working.
What's made you guys so tough defensively, at least now between the beginning of the year? Not as much even on an X's and O's standpoint, but just how they're playing out there in general.
Well, I think part of it is we have very good size everywhere except inside, but we have good length. And we have really good athletes. So to start with, you have a chance to be a good defensive team. But then, of course, a couple other things go into that, and that is, do you play really, really hard? And if you don't, then nobody's any good on defense. And then the next level is, do you have good feel and basketball IQ? Because just because you're athletic, just because you play hard, doesn't mean you recognize things. And what's really fun about this group is not only do they play really hard with very good toughness, but their IQ is very high, and they understand, our system and our concepts, and they know when they mess up, and they ask really smart questions about a certain action, like, what do you think? How should we guard this? And what if he does this? That's high level, and these guys have that. That's why another reason they're so much fun.
Is that sometimes almost being a pass ahead, or seeing like when a pass goes one way, they think, okay, it's there, but it's gonna come here, and I need to be here instead of there.
Yeah, well, I think it's. I don't know if it's that. I hope, because that's really there.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
if they're all that smart,
Yeah,
but
I know,
but yeah, basically, we're saying the same thing. It's a recognition at full speed, quicker than most. That's what you have to have. Is it's a feel. And you look at Ben Moore. I mean, Ben's. It's kind of comical to watch him because he's so far ahead of the count. I mean, he's so far ahead out there. I just love watching film, just watching him. And if you watch, he's talking and pointing and directing and doing things almost before they happen. So yeah, and he's not the only one, but he's the one I start laughing sometimes how far ahead of the curve he is.
Do you have the feeling on whether Deshaun is going to be available for Sunday, or how
Not
he's
sure
doing right now?
Not sure. Just hopeful.
What did they do really? Cincinnati last time you played them. What did they do really well, or prevent you guys from doing it?
Shot it. They shot it really well. That's what they did, and they're capable. Look at their numbers. Pick up a stat sheet. This is a great team. They've got a great point guard. They got great wings. They got great inside players. They can score on the block. They share it. They got shooters all over the place. They play hard as heck. Why would that team not be a top 20 team? I don't know. They are, and maybe they're better than that. I don't know. Time will tell, but they're a great basketball team.